Boom. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is how top companies are scaling with this consulting strategy. So let's get this thing on the road. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
Look, a business can give you everything you want in life: prestige, wealth, freedom. It can also take everything away from you. This show is for those who are willing to take that risk. These are the real life stories of entrepreneurs. But before we start, I have one small favor to ask. Please leave a comment. It can be advice, critiques, tips, feedback, or share this with someone because your engagement is the most valuable and most powerful form of social currency. So thank you, and welcome to another episode of Business Bros.
Hi, Business Bros. Today's guest is an expert in high growth or helping high growth entrepreneurs trust them. Oh, sorry. Let's try that again. Woo! He's the expert high growth entrepreneurs trust when everything behind the scenes is falling apart. From systems to strategies, he builds the engine that makes scaling possible. He's the founder of ARYO Consulting Group. Let's welcome to the show, Mr. Justin Abrams. After 1,300 episodes, every once in a while, you fumble a line at the beginning and you can't take it back because it's live. But welcome to the show, Justin.
Thank you for having me. That was great.
Let's do this, man. All right. Everybody wants to scale. Everybody wants to grow their business. Walk me through a little bit of background for you. How'd you get in this space and what do you do to help people scale?
Yeah, so I worked in consulting and then I worked in biotech for 5 years. So I kind of have a circuitous route. I wouldn't say like I was helping companies scale in the beginning. It was strictly on the strategy side. Like if you think of the McKinseys or the Bains of the world, that was kind of my life. And then over the past few years, it's really been about, well, okay, strategy is helpful, but like I really just want to grow. And that's personally where I enjoy being in anyways. Like you can see and learn a lot from just figuring out how companies are growing versus strategy. It's much more like academic. So when I think about us, I think about like what has been working in the past for growth, and that's Google and Meta ads. That was years and years ago. That's kind of like the last 10 years. And then today it's how do I reduce that acquisition cost from whatever it was 10 years ago into about what it is now, because it's grown by 3 to 5x in pretty much every vertical. So that's really where I focus on, is coming into somewhat established, somewhat struggling in their acquisition. How do you scale? Isn't too easy anymore. How do we cut that cost in half or more across just about any vertical possible?
And that's a great thing to look at because you're absolutely right. The cost of acquisition is so tough. When people are looking, it's funny because in the paid ad space, people often think that they're going to make a sale when they run an ad. That's usually not the case. Most companies are spending that upfront cost just to collect data, name, email, and phone number so that they can make the sale after the fact. But that acquisition cost still just to acquire that data can be very expensive. So let me ask you, what's the first thing you look at when a business comes to you? Maybe they're in chaos, maybe they're just stuck, maybe they're trying to scale. What's the first thing you look at?
So it needs to you need to look at the data of where their clients are coming from in the past 30 days. What are they spending? I feel like the biggest problem most companies have is they have a kind of semi idea of what the actual acquisition cost is, but just putting some actual data, like there's free tools out there that can tell you like, this is how much it's going to cost to acquire this customer. And as you mentioned, like if you're running paid ads, a lot of times they're sending to a landing page and then the call to action might be either a low ticket offer or maybe just a meeting, something like that, where they're not buying. So in theory, you might be getting $5 a click or $10 a click, but the actual conversion might be 5%. Well, that means that you probably either have a really bad sales funnel in the actual like acquisition side of it. Are you able to deliver the right things to the right people? Is the lead quality bad? So there's a number of different holes in that boat that could exist. But just looking at the full sales funnel, seeing what they're doing, seeing what's worked, what hasn't worked. A lot of customer profiling is still really, really bad. And you can enrich some good data now to give them the better customer that's going to convert 2, 3, 4 times better.
I'm a big fan of Mr. Alex Ramosi and generating that offer, creating the the offer that's so good you might feel stupid saying no to it. How much time are you guys spending in looking at what is being presented to that customer to help increase that conversion cost, to help increase that, cost per click, to help increase the views per, the cost per 1,000 views? Like all that stuff, I think has to do with that front end offer. If the deal's super awesome, I'm sure the conversion rate is going to be phenomenal. If the offer kind of sucks and you're just 20% discount, I mean, yeah, great, that's cool, but your conversion rate's going to be a little low. How much are you guys how much time are you spending on looking at what that menu item is for that business to help increase that conversion rate?
So I'm glad you mentioned Alex Hormozy, because his stuff is great, and especially when you look at his original business, which was the gym franchising company. The original offer was a killer offer, right? That's his whole thing. It's like, oh, you can come into this gym, and if you can lose X number of pounds in 12 weeks, you get it for free. That's a great offer. Like, who's not going to jump at that? So I think it depends on the industry. Like, you cannot do that if you're a dentist or a medical doctor or a med spa or an HVAC or a roofer. So the problem is like identifying what you can have as your killer offer. And then honestly, a lot of times, like there aren't as easy ways to do that for like more established businesses. But I think like there's a lot of work. You could probably put 50% of your whole time in figuring out marketing, just on figuring out a faster, better way to get people in the door. And then like if you're a roofer, you have one-time sale for 20 or 30 years. So maybe it's like something super, super simple that just gets them on the phone. And then, yeah, they're not all going to convert, but your acquisition cost ultimately does drop. And then maybe you sell them something else here along the line. So it's like kind of figuring out the full scope is really important, but you can never say no to a killer offer. It's still the most effective way to spend your time.
100%. Now, when let's say a company maybe already has some good offer, but they're still might be stuck, is there like maybe operational mistakes that you see that some fast growing companies might make? What are some of those like common operational mistakes that they're making that they might be able to change?
There's so many like minor things. It's like you have to kind of look at the whole scope of it. But I'll give you one for free right now that it easily doubles your success rate. So if someone opts into either a lead form and gives their phone number, instead of sending them a green text, which is pretty standard through Go High Level, we can send them a blue text. That will double or triple your response rate. Just that one thing. So there's a cost to it. You can also just use your own phone. But if that could be a tiny thing that makes your acquisition costs go from $100 to $50. Well, now you're the most successful roofer in Tucson, Arizona, and like now you can start to scale up, because it's all about like the whole point is when you have a lower acquisition cost, then you can scale your business effectively. It's like if you're 400 pounds, it's really hard to run a marathon. So like you can do a lot of things, but like let's just focus on slimming down a bit, and then you can really work on it.
We're on that progression. Wait, and now I'm curious about the blue bubble, because I use Go High Level and I know that text message is green. Is it something built in through Go High Level that you got to do, like a dedicated domain, dedicated IP, or I don't know, how does that get done?
Yeah, there's a couple different companies. I can't say which ones I would recommend or not, but there's 2 or 3 that just specifically focus on Go High Level integration with blue bubble messages. And yeah, it's a killer. And you can send text, you can send voice memos, you can send pictures, like anything that feels automated, especially like in AI world 2025, like people are anti-AI slop, like they just want to go towards like the most real authentic person possible. And so like the blue text, for whatever reason, we're all like naturally trained that it's a great way, and it does convert way better.
Yeah, it feels a little more human in the text space. Let me ask you about the AI stuff, because yeah, you're right. There's a lot of people who are kind of hesitant, but at the same time, as a business owner, if there's somebody who's answering my phone like a receptionist, I mean, I know when I first started a business, that would have been my dream to have a receptionist answer the phone for me, because I'm doing the work. I don't always have time to answer the phone. But now we have a lot of these AI capabilities where we have a voice agent that could literally answer the phone, and it's something as simple as take the message down, book it on the calendar, forward it to whoever I need to forward it to. But it takes away that responsibility and really allows the business owner to kind of focus on the things that they want to focus on. When you're working with companies, are some of these AI tools and automations and workflows, are some of those things that you're adding in to help them scale?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't think anyone should be hesitant towards AI. You just have to look at it kind of like how people would look at typewriters versus computers. Like, the company that still stays on the typewriter is going to die. The thing is, though, like, there is some value to using the typewriter today. If it's 1970, like, maybe the computer isn't as effective in X, Y, and Z thing. So I think, like, there's a lot of hype in AI. The valuations are crazy. There's still a ton of value that you can get on it. But, like, even the most outrageous things that you can do with AI, like, most businesses aren't even getting anywhere near that. So, like, something like automatic sending messages or something, like, you can start with that. It's low cost, it's very simple, and it's not going to dissuade any customers to be interested in you. And it's so much cheaper. And, like, every single hire that I have, I'm like, you're AI first. Like, if AI can't solve it, then you, human in a loop, get involved there. But, like, yeah, let's not try and use horses when we have Teslas. It's just, that's the way the world is going to move.
I love that. When not use horses, use Teslas. It's funny. I just got an EV vehicle recently in the last, 6 months or so. Those things are fun, man. Like, they take off. Like, speaking of, horsepower, those things got some torque right away from 0 to 60 really quick. Let me ask you about your process. So when you meet with a client, everything from when you first audit them to now you're executing, what's that process like? Can you break it down for me? So if, like, somebody wanted to work with you, what can they expect?
Yeah, so usually we'll just take a look at under their hood, see what they're running for ads, see what their website's looking like, run an SEO audit, just get a full pulse check on what's going on, what's working. Also speaking to all the team members. I think the biggest problem that I have, and a lot of consultants and marketing agencies have, is there's a little bit of hesitancy of, like, giving information away. So, like, the person who's running the Facebook ads doesn't necessarily want to give away that information. They don't want you to see, like, oh, is this really so bad or not? It's like a, car mechanic. Like, they're very close to the thing that they do. So that is part of it. And I try to just set expectations. Like, I'm not here to, like, fire you. That's not my goal. I just want to improve it, because I think an underrated value of consultants and agencies is we see what works across hundreds of clients. And so I can tell you, like, all right, I've run it for 15 different dentists. I can tell you, like, this is the way you should be doing it. And you're running something that maybe worked in 2022, but it's just not going to work in 2025. If you're the dedicated marketing person for that one company, you don't have that outside perspective. So that's the first part. That probably takes 2 to 3 to 4 weeks, depending on how large the company is. Then after that, we give you a full strategy report. I think that most marketing companies, they lack this a bit. It's like, a lot of times a marketing company spawns from, like, we were killer in Google Ads. And so now we're basically a Google Ads business with, like, a side of Facebook, Meta, Instagram. Oh, and we've heard of TikTok. Like, so they kind of are still serving the same platter. We're extremely agnostic. We have seen kind of the changes across a few different things. And I partner with the right people who are like, Google is their thing, or Meta is their thing, or X, Y, and Z is their thing. And then I try to give them more of an a la carte option. Like, not everyone wants fish, not everyone wants steak, not everyone wants the vegetarian meal. You pick. We'll give you an idea of roughly the return on investment for these and the cost. But overall, like, this is what I would generally give you. After a month of testing that, then we can improve on it. But these things can take 6 months to a year to fully solve for. But that's kind of the nice thing, is we're very unbiased in the solutions.
Yeah, that sounds like you're aligning the systems that you're putting into place with the leadership, not just the staff. Why is it so important to align those systems with leadership, even though the staff is usually the one who's actually going to implement all the action steps? Why are you aligning with the leadership in the systems rather than working directly with staff?
Most leaders actually have no idea what's going on in their business day to day. The best CEOs in the world probably should not be spending any time in, Meta Business Suite. So and that's fine. That's the way that they should be operating and executing on their own thing. Alternatively to that, a lot of CEOs, I feel like CEOs, like these are just like owners of the local roofer or the local HVAC company. Like they were probably excellent at that, and then they kind of stumbled into success, and now maybe they have a few other commercial contracts, and that's where they get to that $5 to $10 million. But they have never thought about getting to $100 million. Like that is beyond their knowledge base. So it's important to get those leaders involved very quickly, because you can set expectations in the strategy, and you can kind of piggyback on the idea that like the leader can tell the other people when to move in line and when to like step aside, because you're going to get hesitancy from a lot of people who are trying to, clutch their pearls. The reality is like the leader is the one that says, all right, we're doing 5 million. We need to do 50 million. And a lot of people at that company, maybe they don't have that goal. They just want a consistent, 9-to-5 job and work, well, but that's not their goal.
That leadership team is the one who's going to motivate them to get there. Is the one who's going to push to get there. So earlier you said when you're walking in and talking to some of these people, they're a little hesitant because they're afraid they're going to be replaced. But essentially, when you're implementing successful systems and processes, there is something that does happen. How do you define success? What does a successful exit look like when you're talking about systems and processes?
That is a really good question. There is a lot of gray areas. And even if you're focused on, let's say, acquisition cost as your end KPI, like that's a hard thing to really get exactly true to. And you can figure out, like someone, if let's say you're running Google and Meta ads, the person that's running Google ads is going to say like they are attributing it to theirs, and the Meta person is going to attribute it to theirs. And so the systems in place, I try to just say like, how can we get closer to that KPI that you really, really want? If it's acquisition cost in the beginning, great. If the end goal is to scale from 5 million to 50 million, like probably acquisition cost is like one of the 3 things that need to be like really, really refined out and well-oiled. So acquisition cost, lifetime value, but really thinking about like how much that profit looks like. And then like, let's be honest, like again, you can have the best marketing, but the end goal for a lot of these companies is to acquire 1 or 2 other companies. So if they're doing 5 million, maybe they get 2 or 3 million in free cash flow when they were normally doing 1 million. Well, now they have an extra 2 million. They can go to the bank, get a down payment, and buy another competitor or 2. That's the fastest way to scale. And you're going to ultimately get to that 50 million a lot faster than if you grow purely organic. So it's like kind of wrapping the systems with the KPIs, with the end goal, all coming back every quarter and making sure they all align together.
And that I'm assuming is coming back to your strategy report that you present to these business owners after you go through that audit. So how does your approach kind of differ from traditional management consultants? We already have the strategy report, but then I guess in implementation, how do you guys differ from everybody else?
Oh man, I mean, some would say that I don't differ as much. I would say I differ a lot. The average size for a management consultant is usually much, much larger. So like they're working with, Pfizer's and Sony's of the world, which we have worked with, but they're looking at a $10 to $50 million engagement across a year. And the return on investment to that company, it's like they're making $1 billion a week. Like Sony does not need to worry about spending an extra 10 or 20 million. Management consulting kind of splits itself into a few different brackets as well. And it doesn't really do well in the marketing space. Like it's really pushed itself more into either the implementation of like IT systems, the financial side, like the mergers and acquisitions, or like a third side, which is like, kind of like strategy, environmentalism, like that's kind of seeing like struggling recently, but that's like kind of that third like fuzzy HR side. So I try to think of us more as a marketing arm of a strategy focused business, all with the upside to scale your business. Like the goal is to get you significantly higher, whether that's 10x or 50x.
So who is your ideal client then? Who's this person that you're looking for, this business that you're looking for, and when should they reach out for help? At what point in their business cycle, when they're feeling maybe the chaos, maybe the stress, maybe the stuck, at what point should they reach out to you, and who's that ideal client?
Yeah, we're very particular in who we want because we almost have to select for clients who do want to do the 10x growth. Like if they're like a happy doctor or a happy medical officer or a happy HVAC and they're doing $2 million a year, I'm like, you don't need us. Like maybe you want to go to $5 million a year, but like there's other people that can do that for cheaper, for more effectively to kind of keep you in that pace. I'm very much focused on like, do you want to grow fast and exit with an insane amount of money? So if that's the case, let's ride together into the sunset. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is like the industry has to be a good fit. Like there's some industries that are just too saturated right now and it's too hard. You're seeing this a lot. Like private equity has really changed the game. And I will say like a lot of our customers, they maybe don't want to do the 10x growth, but they're just so worried with private equity buying the last 2 or 3 competitors they had that like this is their only solution that isn't so like defensive. So and you mentioned this, like what's the difference between a consultant and you? Like most consultants play defense. No one gets fired by hiring McKinsey. Alternatively, we're like mostly focused on offense. We want you to go fast, grow, and get things in place. And so it's like much more like a starter, founder, startup business. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like if you have the right business in the right area, you want to grow through both marketing and through acquisition, definitely reach out to us and we can at least at a minimum chat.
You've been able to work with a lot of different companies. You look at hundreds of companies across the industries. What's some of those internal bottlenecks that you see entrepreneurs that maybe they underestimate? Maybe they're not aware of. They're not seeing that it's stopping, because there's a lot of companies out there that, you know, even if you gave them the ability to scale, they can't take it on. There's something happening that even if you got them more customers, they can't take that to the next level. What are some of those bottlenecks that entrepreneurs underestimate?
I mean, that's our biggest issue is people say they want to go 10x. Like people love to say they want to go to the gym. That's why January 1st, the gym is packed. And guess what? January 10th, there's no one there.
Gone.
So talk is very, very, very cheap. So the problem that we always have is someone says, all right, Justin, I want to go super fast. I want to 10x our business. I want to 100x our business. I say, great. A week later, they're like, okay, well, like, we're not 10x today. So like, what's up? And I'm like, this is going to take months. This is a long strategy together. And then they're like, well, like, I don't know. I just like, now I'm not really interested. So you kind of have to self-select a bit. You need someone that's gritty and who can get out of the way as well. It's a really hard fit to find the right people sometimes, because even if you're a great CEO, you might not be great at scaling at 10x, and you might not have that mental capacity to hand it off to someone as well. So yeah, founders often get in the way, but I understand the reasoning and I do my best to help them as much as I can.
I'm trying to help you, bro. Stop getting in the way. All right. I've always heard, facts tell and stories sell. So do you have any case studies or successful stories that you want to share with us? Maybe a company that was in chaos and you helped them scale?
So I have a lot, but I have a really like wholesome one. So I have a landscaper client of mine. He's not doing millions of dollars a year. He kind of took over his family business. I won't say the number that they're doing, but they're not doing 7 figures. And he was spending a ton of money on ads. I think I mentioned this like publicly, but I think they were spending about $1,000 for acquisition per customer. And in landscaping, that's not going to break. I mean, your return, it's like a 5 or 6 years turnout. Like it's not worth it. So, and he is not an ads guy. So I just said, listen, I'll take this on. I don't think it was September. So this is local to us. So this isn't a busy time. Give me 3 months. I'm not even going to run any ads. We're going to cut everything. Cut all your marketing people. Don't even waste your money. I'm just going to run local SEO for you. Like you want to pop up as like landscaper near me in this small town that's not even in a major city. But like, where can we get you? Have enough customers already. The business isn't going to like go bust. They've already gotten, I think, 10%. This is like 6 months ago. And they've already like increased their revenue by 10% in 6 months. So it's like, let's say, $50,000 to $75,000, and they haven't spent any ads. Like, so he's like, his mind is like starting to realize the possibility of, okay, yeah, now that I have all this free cash flow, then I can scale. So this is kind of the fun stuff for me. It's like taking these folks on a journey to grow beyond what they ever expected. And I'll be honest, like most people, when you ask them, like, are you trying to retire anytime soon? People have no idea. They're like, I'm like, how much are you trying to retire with? Because like you're making, let's say $1 million in your business, but maybe it's only 200,000 in EBITDA. So you could sell this for like 300, 400, 500,000. Like, is that your retirement nest egg? Because like, where are you going to retire? And people haven't thought about that at all. So that's where I get to kind of like play retirement 401k for like the entrepreneur.
Yeah, it's a completely different ballgame. And you're right. A lot of times they're just trying to get through the month, get through the down season so they can get to the up season. I have a mentor, and he said something like, when he talks to a client, he loves to ask them the question, how long you been in business? They'll say something like 5 years, right? He's like, have you been in business for 5 years, or have you just been stuck repeating the same year of business 5 times? And like that kind of thought process, you start really thinking about, well, what is my exit strategy? How am I going to get out of this thing? That's definitely a real question. And I love that case study because you literally you threw away the ads. Like that wasn't even something that this company at this level was able to do. But with that SEO, it's essentially one of the greatest ads, because when people need your service, you're going to be that first one that pops up. And so it's a different strategy, different approach, but same end result, which is what ultimately those clients are looking for. Justin, if people want to reach out to you, man, if they want to find out more about what you do, how can they do that?
Yeah, they can go to my website, ARYOCG.com. They can find me on LinkedIn. They can find me on Twitter. I'm pretty available. Justin Abrams. I'm based in Boston. If everyone wants to grab coffee in Boston, I'm always around. I just love talking business. I love business. I love the concept of like giving someone a service and receiving some money out of that. And yeah, I think this is a great podcast. So I think this will be good if they want to reach out.
Perfect, man. So quick question on a little bias side. You using Go High Level for a lot of setups for companies?
I'd say about half of the companies. It's like either HubSpot or Go High Level. There's some like, Salesforce or Zoho, but yeah, for the most part, it's either HubSpot or Go High Level.
What are some of your favorite features that you kind of they're like your go-to things?
So, I mean, I like the fact that Go High Level is just so simple and it's like fairly cheap. Their support is amazing. Like I've called them up probably 50 different times and they respond back to me within like 10 minutes. That's not the case with like a Zoho of the world. I mean, HubSpot has a better marketing, but it's really expensive. I personally don't think it's the best bang for your buck. But if you're doing $5 million, I get the value of it. I do think like take a look at some of the integrations, like that blue text is killer. There's like smaller apps on there that you would never think are useful, but like they are going to save you a lot of time. So try and automate some of the boring stuff. Like if you're the founder or CEO of a company, like you should be letting the AI do a lot of the heavy lifting and like adding sales to you without ever having to think.
Guys, Justin's 100% correct. Look, you need to automate your stuff. You need to get yourself situated. We're living in the world of AI, and if you're not taking advantage of it, you are missing out. His website is ARYOCG.com. ARYOCG.com. Scrolling across the bottom of the page here. You can find him on social, by the way, at ARYO Consulting. Make sure you guys reach out and have that conversation. And little shameless plug here. If you don't want to go, if you want to be one of the stubborn ones and you want to learn it all yourself, I got a link in my bio, great course that I've taken with one of my mentors. You can go learn it all yourself. But if you want to shorten the learning curve, you need to work with people like Justin. They've already done it. They have all the skill sets. They know what they're doing when it comes to your business. They're going to give you that strategy report, show you exactly how it's going to play out. Make sure you guys reach out, ARYOCG.com. Justin, thank you very much for being on the program today. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace. And we're out.
It's over. Go home. Is your business in need of marketing? Try starting a podcast. But not just any podcast. Podcast like a pro. We can show you how to take your business from being invisible to becoming a brand people trust. Go to www.businessbros.biz to get started